Shalom, today is February 9th, and we're in day 492 days of the war in Israel. We're bringing you today the newspaper that Israelis are reading. This is one of them. It's called Israel Hayom. Hayom means today, so Israel today. 76, 76, Adain begehenom, still in hell. It was a significant day yesterday, and as you know, on Shabbat and Saturday, Israel does not release newspapers, so we're bringing you the newspaper of today that's bringing yesterday's exciting and concerning news. And I'm reading, השחרור שהפך את הבטן של מדינה שלמה, the release that upturned or turned upside down the stomach of the whole nation. שלוש החטופים ששוחררו, the three hostages that were released, look like they were taken out directly from the Holocaust. Ohad Ben Ami, here he is, Ohad Ben Ami, Levi, and Elie Sharabi. They were held for 491 days in the tunnels of Hamas. They barely saw light of day. They were disconnected from the world, no media, and they barely ate. Hem shuchreru khushim. They were released emaciated. Is that what you say? Emaciated? Very, very skinny. The eyes are sunk in. They barely stood on their legs. Almog Levi, the 3-year-old son of Levi, said, Abba, לקח לך הרבה זמן לחזור. Father, Daddy, it took you a long time to come back home. And Netanyahu will be coming back today from his meetings in Washington. עוד 3 פעימות בדרך. 3 more phases of release will be happening in the next days. This whole stage, called the first stage, is 42 days. So we're right in the middle. About 16 hostages were released. Let's take a look at the images here. We see Levi hugging for the first time Almog, his son, 3 years old. His father calls him Mogi. Here it is, here is being released in the ridiculous ceremony that Hamas does with a certificate of freedom, of release. Down here we see Ohad Ben Ami back in the hands of his beloved wife, Raz. Raz was a hostage as well. She was released after 51 days. Here we see Ohad with a certificate as well. Now Ohad was not recognizable. It's very hard to recognize him. His own family said that. The same thing with Elie Sharabi, lost so much weight. Here he is, very, very skinny. Behind him is a woman that accidentally standing right behind him, and her big hair is there. So, of course, he's almost, he's all shaven. And here he is in the ceremony. They had to be almost carried. Hamas was holding them quite strong. They're not walking well. They're not strong. The condition is very, very bad, and it reminds us, the nation of Israel, of 80 years ago in the concentration camps, in the Holocaust in Europe. The only thing is that Germany back then was defeated. Hamas now is still not defeated. Halev boche besheket, the heart is crying quietly. After 491 days, Almog Levi, the toddler, the 3-year-old toddler, hugs for the first time his father, that came back home together with Elie and Ohad. Shichuram mila et kulanu simcha gdola. Their release filled all of us with great joy, but also much sadness. We felt much sadness as well. The images of the 3 were hard to see, extremely thin, with malnutrition. All of them are skin and bones, and it echoed the traumas that the Jews had suffered 80 years ago. Halev nishbar, the heart is broken. The quote here in the headline, Abba, לקח לך הרבה זמן לחזור. Abba, it took you a long time to come back home. And here again, we read about Almog's son is 3 years old, and he waited 1 year and 4 months to see his father, Levi. Was kidnapped from a migunit. Migunit is like a cement place where they hide from when rockets come. It was around the Nova Festival. It's called the death migunit because so many were killed in that migunit. His wife was killed there. Her name is Einab. She was killed there. In the captivity, barely ate anything, and he lost 20 kilograms. He doesn't look very plumped before. So losing 20 kilograms is a lot, and here we are to demonstrate. It says that they ate 1/4 of a pita. So a pita is a flat bread or pocket bread because it has a pocket inside. This is a whole pita. This is a quarter of a pita, white flour, a quarter of a pita once a day. Now his family is getting ready for the reunification, and he says, they say, all came back a different person. Also Almog, the son, is different, is a different child. In the images we see the first encounters with the family and Or. Here Or is in the helicopter and his message on the whiteboard as they're doing. It says Mogi, which is the nickname for his son, Abba baderech habayta. Abba's on the way home with a heart. And here are pictures of Almog's drawings that he drew for Or's return. Or is 34 years old, and he did not know his wife was killed. He knew maybe something had happened, maybe injured. He did not know she was dead, so that was a news he had to hear when he came back yesterday. Next is Ohad Ben Ami, 56 years old. Here he is in this picture from before captivity. Looks very strong, and he maintained his sense of humor, it says, and they quote, Nechtafti le'aza extra large. I was kidnapped to Gaza in a size extra large, and I returned in size medium. So Ohad Ben Ami, the captive that returned yesterday, after 491 days from staying in the tunnels of Gaza, he was emaciated, he was pale, but he maintained a sense of humor. And yesterday, he reunited with his wife and his 3 daughters. The daughters posted on their social media, I'm in the hands of my father, I'm very proud of him. Much warmth and much love. He was received with so much warmth in his family. Here they're joyful again, they're reunited. Here he is walking out of the helicopter and covered with the flag of Israel, his wife as well, with the flag of Israel. And his wife was also in captivity and was released 51 days later. To see them so thin is raising a lot of concerns. And here there's an opinion article that says there are no shouts of joy this time. There is a cry to heavens to help them. And Israel's suspecting that the alive hostages that Hamas will still release in this stage will be as skinny or even worse. So the healthier ones were released in the beginning. And we also read that Sinwar back then commanded to starve the men, deliberate starvation, while that was not the command for the female soldiers. So this is why we see such a difference. The female soldiers looked quite healthy, even though their weight was much less, but these guys really looked starved. Next is Elie Sharabi, 52 years old. Here he is before captivity. He was kidnapped from Be'eri, and here he is in the arms of his family for the first time after 491 days. Ein milim sheyenachmu et Elie. There are no words to comfort Elie, because it says that Elie Sharabi did not know his wife and his 2 daughters were murdered on October 7th. Here in the image, we see his family and friends receiving him with signs saying, Elie babayit, sof sof, Elie's at home, finally, after 491 days. How good it is that you came back home. Hasiyut me'achorav, the nightmare is behind him, but the tragedy is ahead of him. Elie Sharabi was released after 491 days in captivity, almost 500 days. And he came to the Sheba hospital when he's wrapped up in the flag of Israel. Hasiyut me'achorav, the nightmare is behind him, but the tragedy is ahead of him. Elie Sharabi was released after 491 days. Almost 500 days, and he came to the Sheba hospital wrapped up with the flag of Israel, as we see. He'll have to deal with the hard news that he got that his wife Lian and his 2 daughters Noya and Yahel were murdered. What's sad is that his first request was when he came into Israel land was, I'm looking forward to see my wife and daughters. Achiv Yossi nechtaf v'nirtzach b'shevi. His brother Yossi was kidnapped and murdered in captivity. He knew that part. A childhood friend says, Zot situatia metorefet. This is a crazy situation that Elie needs to handle, to deal with. So this is really not the end of a nightmare, it is the beginning of a kind of new one. Nir'im kmo b'machane rikuz. they seem like they're in a concentration camp. Here are the pictures of them before and after. Elie Sharabi before captivity and Elie Sharabi after captivity. Ohad Ben Ami before and after. And Or Levi before and after. And it reads, their pictures tell the story that we were so afraid to hear. A medical professional says here that the physical damage that's done from those who have not eaten and have been malnutritioned for a long time is mainly the loss of muscle mass. And when you lose muscle mass, it says here, the muscles are in charge of many systems in the body, like kidneys, klayot, kaved means liver, and it even influences the immune system. So there is a very clear protocol to take care of those who have suffered from malnutrition, severe malnutrition. They do many blood checkups. They'll be given food gradually, slowly, as there's a very supervised protocol that they'll be going through. So we'll end here with Israel Hayom. We also know the IDF soldiers are leaving Netzarim corridor, the center of the Gaza Strip. They're leaving East Gaza. They're packing up their fuel, their antennas, their infrastructure. And we know much of humanitarian aid is going in, 600 trucks a day, plus lots and lots of fuel to Hamas. And 186 terrorists were released for these 3 precious men. Many of them have blood on their hands. Many of them are seniors of the Islamic Jihad and the Hamas. They're leaders, they're big, and they're coming back with shouts of victory by the Palestinians. So let's continue to pray for us. It's a nation that the nightmare is ongoing. It's continuing and not stopping. So thank you for your prayers and support for Israel and for All Israel News. If you like this video, please share it with your friends and like it. And I'm Rotem Magen for All Israel News.